Rugby League, the Western Front Edition, the podcast where we talk about everything local WA Rugby League. I'm your host, Sweeney, and as usual, I've got Bitch Ricks. How are you, mate?
Hello everyone.
Excellent.
Excited to be here another week.
Another
Ready to rip in, let's go.
We're on episode 22, can you believe that?
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, Morgs, mate, how are you? After our last week's HIA for both of us on our ramblings, how are you feeling?
Oh, man, I'm great. You know, past the protocols. We're on to episode 12 and it's going good, I think.
Guys, jumping straight into it, we're going to go on to our senior results for this week. So, Women's League tag, we had Joondalup 16 over Willagee 10. Kwinana 22 over Alkimos 4. In the North Beach and Mandurah game, Mandurah unfortunately had to forfeit a game. This is, from our understanding, the third registered forfeit of the season. Ellenbrook had 14 over South Perth 8, with Fremantle having the bye.
In our third grade competition this weekend, Mandurah and Kwinana played out an 18-all draw. Willagee got up 32-0 over Alkimos. Rockingham 28 over North Beach 18. Kalamunda and Fremantle was a forfeit from Fremantle. And Ellenbrook had a win 14 points to 12 over South Perth.
And then moving on to Val Murphy, we had Alkimos 38 over Willagee 16. Kwinana 34 over Joondalup 8. North Beach 36 over Rockingham 20. Ellenbrook 30 over South Perth 10. And Kalamunda 18 over Fremantle 8.
And in the Women's Premiership, we had Fremantle 68 over Kalamunda 0. And we had Ellenbrook really flexing their Premiership muscle with a big 44-6 win over Willagee. And the Joondalup Giants had the bye. Boys, did you watch the Ellenbrook versus Willagee game? Catch any of it?
I did say on this one that last week I was going to watch it. I couldn't watch it. Family issues. However, that was not the scoreline I was expecting for the Ellenbrook-Willagee game. I was expecting it to be so much closer. Has Ellenbrook really just taken it to another level for themselves this year?
I'm not too sure. It was a bit of a funny game. Cold, wet night there out in Kalamunda.
Yeah.
It was a pretty tight tussle till half time, and then after half time, it was a bit to and fro, and then Ellenbrook got a few piggybacks down the other end, and you know that big Ellenbrook forward pack, they're pretty hard to contain if you invite them down near your try line. So, yeah, that's just the way it went in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ellenbrook, you know, being probably the most dominant team in the overall history of the Women's Premiership, but they haven't got the biscuits the last 2 years. I think 1 year you might be like, yeah, okay, that's footy, but 2 years in a row, I think they're hurting, and we thought this would be a closer game. It wasn't. I think Ellenbrook are flexing their muscles, and I reckon they've got a whole lot more to give as well. Whereas Willagee, first year back in the comp, has started amazingly, but maybe, you know, tough season, few injuries, long cold Friday nights on the road might be taking their toll, and, you know, might be an opportunity for them to try and regroup before they sort of hit finals.
Yeah, it could also be a big wake-up call.
Yeah, well, that's it. We
This
know
is the
they've got the
standard we
talent.
need to be at.
Yeah.
Even if you're off like 5% on the night, you know, this is what can happen. So.
100%.
Yeah. Do you think Willagee's going to come back after this?
Oh, I think absolutely. They've got some amazing talent, some amazing players. They've shown what they can do. It's just how you bounce back from that, I think. And yeah, learn those lessons and, you know, come back strong this weekend, this Friday night.
Awesome.
So moving on to the men's premiership, we had Willagee 45 over Joondalup 20. We had Rockingham 28 over North Beach 22. And South Perth 28 over Fremantle 10. I mean, I don't know about you boys, but I don't think there's one of these results in score lines or winners or in margins that I necessarily expected. I guess we'll start with the first one, Willagee over Joondalup. I mean, how many 45 to 20 results do we see?
Yeah.
Like, that's a strange scoreline. I mean, you know, take the field goal where you can get it, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't quite know when it was taken during the game. It's just got 0 minute, but clearly on the My League app, clearly Well, I assume you're not kicking a field goal in 0 minute, but I mean, hey, stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past Willigi just to throw it out there.
Especially with the number 7 at Willigi kicking it, we know he's thinks outside the bag. Oh, Tamaho, but I mean, I think that's Willigi. We thought this might have been a danger game. Joondalup got them earlier in the season. I think Willigi's definitely flexing their muscles there. What do you reckon, boys?
Look, going back to our breakdown of the last few games of the season, I think we picked Willigi to win this anyway, but not in this manner. They just keep turning up. They keep turning up and winning. There's so little to be said about what they're doing because they just keep doing exactly what they need to get the wins. Joondalup, not having the best season. There's no sugarcoating it. Facts are facts. They're having good moments. They're having some incredible moments with some incredible personal plays. But, they're just going to... We'll finish out and we'll start looking at next year. Beatrix.
Well, it's the point that you made there. Joondalup haven't had the best of seasons and Willigi have been pretty good. The points on the board from Willigi are as expected, but I would have thought against a team that hasn't had the greatest of seasons, if you want to be a premiership threat, I think that 20 points against is not where you want to be. Especially coming into this back end of the season. So I'm sure that that's something that Willigi will be looking at, and they'll be looking to tighten up in these closing rounds before coming into finals.
Have we spoken a little bit about Willigi's defence all season? Though we've said that they can put points on, there's no dramas about that. But sometimes their defence is a little bit leaky boat. Yeah,
they've definitely had some high-scoring wins where they've sort of conceded a fair few points as well. And I think it probably matches their style of play. They've got an attacking style of footy, but attacking free-flowing can also lead to mistakes and errors that leads to points from the opposition. I guess why you're maintaining that doesn't matter if you win 20 points. Probably not, as long as you know you can get more. But, I mean, you get into a tussle in a tight, windy, wet, cold game, you're conceding 20 points, you might be in trouble.
Yeah, if suddenly you're on the back foot, then...
Yeah, exactly.
Look, the next game, did anybody predict this? I mean, we've been touting. We're going to throw it out to Beatrix.
Mr. Rockingham.
I did.
Yeah, Victor Rockingham, boy, yeah.
I caught up with a couple of the old boys on the Monday night at the start of the week, and we're just talking about how the club's been building towards things. They've been getting closer and closer. The young guys are getting experienced. The new players that have come in are starting to gel with some combinations, and they said the comments were, we'll knock off one of these top teams before the end of the year. And then just through the week, I just had a feeling that it would be like the game when we beat North Beach and they were top of the table back in 2019. We shouldn't have. What a great win, Anytime that last place knocks off first place is pretty special. And the way the Sharks played, especially in that first half, their line speed, their intensity in defence, they completely out-enthused North Beach in that first half. They had a little shaky 20 to 30 minute period in the second half, and the inexperience in the squad sort of is the reason it come back so close at the end. They didn't really know how to close the game down. Great win. Jared Whittier, hooker, absolute gun. He just absolutely whacked everyone all game. He speed out a dummy half, set up a few tries, scored one himself, pretty sure. And we talk about Bailey Miller being the big young star coming through.
Yeah.
An electric back, but Trey Emery for Rockingham Sharks, him coming through in the forwards. Once he gets a bit more rugby league knowledge, he'll be a star to watch out for in the future in the first grade comp.
Yeah, and I think as well that the even more impressive thing for Rockingham, that was without obviously Crockett Henry that we talked about last week, still with the Cass team. So I mean they've done it. They've beaten the sort of the dominant team of the comp this year without their regular starting seven. I mean, you take the starting seven out of any team, you're in a harder position than you'd like to be. So I think that really signals what Rockingham's got, the young players they've got, the work ethic, the effort, and the commitment they've sort of built through the year. And credit to Rockingham. You know, we've talked about Joondalup bringing some upsets at different points and being a threat. Some of us maybe wrote Rockingham off a bit, but they've shown they can do it, and it's going to mean every other club is looking over their shoulder now to see, are they the next North Beach? I obviously tipped North Beach to not lose another game. That lasted about 3 days. So we'll stay tuned for my tips over the next couple of days, see who I'm cursing this time. But it's what you want. You want that any club on their day, if you don't front up, if you don't put on your best performance, you're going to lose. That's what we want from every grade, but particularly Premiership. And
it'd be interesting back into the year for Rockingham. Now that them young kids have had a taste of what winning's like in first grade, I'm sure they're going to want more of it, and they're going to be a hard team to beat these last 3 weeks.
That's it.
Start to bring the broom through. Yeah, look, I think we've all been giving the little bit of flowers we can to Rockingham as they've been doing what they can this year. But the last 2 games, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, boys, that's 2 in a row. 2 wins in a row? No. Okay.
They haven't won a game since round 1.
We'll correct this
one. That's fine. Yeah, of course.
They haven't, and in their defence too, that's the strongest team that they've had since round 1.
And it's still not their full strength team either.
Still not their full strength team. So, but to not win a game from round 1 to, what are we at now? Nearly.
Well, we're about 4 games. Round 13.
Yeah.
So
11 wins in a row. 11 wins on the trot. Losses on the trot.
Yeah. But look, this shows that they're not stopping. They're not stepping away from the fight. That the culture and the mentality of these fellas is right there. They still want to turn up. They still want to turn up for each other every week. But that means they're putting the hours in on the training paddock, and they're turning it up for each other.
And it's a wake up call for the rest of the competition. Don't take any teams lightly this back end of the year, because 100%. They'll pull your pants down.
Yeah, I love Morg's thing about the looking over your shoulder. I think it's great.
Yeah,
they're maybe for the last few rounds they're going to be the boogeyman.
Yeah.
And then so looking at the last game, South Perth 28, Freo 10. I think when we've seen the team list drop for these 2 teams, it was a whole lot of there's. You can name a combined squad with all the first grade talent that was out from these teams. It I think it made it a hard one to tip. We saw, there's been there now. They're behind North Beach by 1 point on for and against, 1 solitary point, equal in comp points, 1 point. Well, I guess it's it has to be a field goal, doesn't it?
It's a field goal, yeah.
That's what separates them. I think that's it. That probably wasn't the result I was expecting from that game. I thought Freo maybe getting it up, but South Perth, after a few bad weeks, sort of coming back out, showing that, they can compete, they can be a threat, and they've got some depth there and they've got some talent, even if they have lost players for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, well, before the weekend, I thought it was, North Beach were just going to win the comp, and that was going to be it. But, I was nearly ready to put a line for South Perth. They were so disappointing in the last few weeks. And then, North Beach come out and lose, and South Perth have a big win, and Willagee go well too. So, but a little bit surprising the result. I was expecting a bit more out of Fremantle, especially with the forward pack that they named. But full credit to South Perth, and hopefully the start of a run to the finals for them. Yeah,
I think that's it. Ultimately, we know the 4 teams that are going to be in finals. That's, I think, basically almost impossible to be anything else now. But any of those 4 teams, I think, can genuinely be premiership threats if they turn up on the day.
We're going to jump on quickly, but did anybody predict that Rockingham will be the boogeyman at the end of this year? Because I didn't. I thought they'd go really well, but my goodness, the boogeyman. We're going to jump onto junior footy now with our results. We'll start with our under-13s, boys. So we had Willagee 30 over Joondalup 18, Rockingham 20 over Kalamunda 8, Kwinana 36 over Ellenbrook 26, with Fremantle having the bye.
In the under-14s, boys, Alkimos 32 over Ellenbrook 30, North Beach 38 over Joondalup 0, Rockingham 22 over Kalamunda 20, Kwinana 40 over Serpentine 0, and Fremantle and South Perth played out a 26-all draw.
And then moving on to the under-14s girls, we had Willagee 36 over Kwinana 12, and Fremantle 22 over Joondalup 16, and Ellenbrook had the bye.
In the 15s, boys, Rockingham 64 over Ellenbrook 10. Kalamunda 34 over Joondalup 6. And Willagee Bears 34 over Fremantle 6. And Alkimos had the bye.
And so in the under-17s, boys, some amazing results. All teams didn't concede a point. They didn't score a point. They had the bye.
So we're going to jump on to another one of our big topics here. We talk about junior football and especially the representation of junior football. So, boys, we've spoken quite a bit about the RISE program. We're going to do a little bit of a pros and cons on this particular program. We'll do the same thing with the junior representative, and we'll get a few thoughts on that. So, Morgs, do you want to kick off a little bit with your sort of pros and cons of the RISE program itself?
I mean, we've obviously talked about it a bit, but I think the reason we come back to it is because it's such an important topic, and we want this discussion in the community to talk about what it is. For me, the pros of RISE is from a youth development perspective. Is kids do develop at different ages. Kids don't have the same skill set. Some kids come into the game at under 6s, some come in at under 10s, under 12s, whatever it is. And if you're playing under 14s, you could have basically a year on someone in your team. Like they're a year older, bar a day.
Yeah.
So how quickly do we develop at that age? Massively. So I think the fact that RISE gives every kid, regardless of who they are, where they're from, what their background is, an opportunity to learn skills on the field and off the field, with obviously over the age groups where they do league safe, they do refereeing, they do coaching, they do all the stuff around personal development, personal mental health, wellbeing, all that stuff. To me, that's massive. Like, this is what we need. This is the stuff we need throughout our community as a whole. And if we can incorporate that into rugby league, I think it's amazing. So, I mean, that to me is a massive pro. Like, it's the type of work I do. It's what I do, and I think it's awesome. Cons of it, I think any time there's money involved, and obviously things cost money, and it is what it is, you can't necessarily change it, but being financial barriers to people doing this sort of stuff for me is, I guess, if you could find a solution to it, would make it a whole lot better, because then it is absolutely a case of everyone can be involved, everyone can benefit from these things, and there's no sort of financial constraints that might prevent kids participating because mum and dad simply don't have the funds.
No, that's really good. Beatrix, you want
to... the pros for me with the RISE is it's a holistic sort of thing. Like, you do the referees course, coaching course, and the league safe training course. So it gets kids involved in all different levels of the game. You know, not everyone's going to be a player for their whole career, and eventually they're going to fall out of the game. You know, kids may not develop and stuff like that, and they don't want to play footy anymore, but they can still be involved in the game around that level. I also really like how it's goes into like the personal development side of things, all that side of it. So that part's really good. The cons for me are that it's available to everyone, and it's not an elite sort of thing. So if we're going to use this as our flag for developing kids on their way through to go to the next step, I don't think having it open to everyone is the right way to go with it.
And I guess that's the question, isn't it? Whether it should be the elite or whether it should be the everyone aspect of rugby league, and then it should be an elite level.
Yeah, I like that. It's good that everyone can be involved, but if we're going to have it as our thing, as something that we run our junior reps through, and then we pick our state teams from that, then I don't think it's the right way to go about it.
Yeah, look, I have to agree with both of you on more than a few points there. Something I think I like about it is the value system it creates. A lot of it is, I like to say, off-ball, off-field. Excuse me. Off-ball, off-field, about how you conduct yourself as a professional athlete, as a young professional person, how you can create value for yourself within the game. It's about teaching kids the value of themselves, the value of hard work. And for me, that's incredibly important. I also like too that this can it can introduce kids like competition kids to the top tier level of football again on and off field. There is a high competitiveness that comes with football. Off the field goes back to this sort of being a good stand-up person, about how you conduct yourself, value system. On field, it's about what you can put in, how hard you work, things like that. So that for me is a really important thing. My cons are probably, here in WA, it's going to be the coaches. Whether or not they are trained specifically, this is a national program we're talking about. Are our coaches here nationally trained? Do they have the one-on-ones they need to? Do they know what they're looking for? Do they know what they need? Do they know if they see a kid that might not be naturally gifted but is coachable? Do they know what to do with a kid that is naturally gifted and how they manage someone like that and what could come along and things like that? So for me, those are my pros and cons with the Rise.
And I think that sort of goes into the fact that if you've got Rise for players, could you have coach Rise? Where, like off-field aspects. But it is. It's about, because, the coaches we've got are the dads, are the mums, are the parents, are the grandparents that are coaching at club footy that are taking that next step. But how do we develop our coaches? Like, you can't, if you are that's you, you're rocking up twice a week, then game day. Where is your opportunity to develop as a coach or whatever? Like, how do we get that development into our coaches? And I guess that's the aspect. Could there be a program that develops coaches like it aims to develop players?
Well, the way it was explained to me in the first year that they did Rise here when I was involved is that this was supposed to be a pathway for coaches as well. So they were supposed to develop the coaches through the thing. So through the first year, it was the GDOs that ran a lot of the sessions and the coaches were being shadowed. So I think that process, the first year was supposed to have the coaches from that first year roll over to the second year, and then they start to gain experience from that. Unfortunately, there's a bit of turnover. A few people didn't like the way it went in the first year, so they didn't come back. But I mean, when we went to the meeting for the first time for the Rise program, we did a coaches course. It was supposed to be run by Neil Henry, but he couldn't make it. So it was her name slips my mind, but she's the Gillaroos coach now. She was the one that ran the coaching course that night. Now that was really, really good. That was fantastic. It was like a 2 or 3 hour thing. It was really good, but it was only a one-off, which I thought was good. But if you're only doing it once, then a lot of people don't hold on to that information, and then I think it needs to be like a week on week. Yeah, build on the skills.
Repetition is the best.
Because what you're doing is you end up on field coaching the kids, and something goes wrong. When things go wrong for the kids, they're not going to fall back into systems. Just as much as you're as a coach, things go wrong, you're not going to be like, okay, well, I'll just go back into my system. You're not. You're going to go, okay, well, things aren't winning, and I don't know what's happening. A parent, a volunteer, an uncle, an auntie, a grandmother, whatever it is that's coaching, which is what basically predominantly makes up what we're dealing with as coaches, are not going to be able to do that either. So having that one shot from, it's great. I love the idea of having a marquee person come down and deliver something incredible. But where's the follow-up after that of not the marquee, the guy that does that knows way more than me?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
And that lovely lady's name was Jess Skinner, so...
Yes.
Yeah, so
that's fair.
But yeah, so if we're going to do that, if this is going to be like a program for a holistic thing for coaches, players, all that, I'd like to see a coach, whether it's Neil Henry or Jess Skinner or whatever like that, come in at the start, and then it's a 5 to 6 week program, either come through halfway through and then the end. Yep. Make the 3 trips over, make sure everyone's developing properly, improve areas that they need to and all that. I'd like to see a bit more input from people that have the experience at the highest levels.
No, I agree. Okay, so we've spoken about Rise. Now we're going to talk about our junior state champs. Junior state championships. There you go. There's my HIA for the week. Yeah. Morgs, go. Give me some pros and cons on this.
I mean, looking at, I guess, the junior state champs as they were this year was North, South, Central. Obviously, in the past, it's been Northern Future and Southern Pride, Southwest Dolphins.
Yeah.
And sort of basically, without under either of the branding, either of the labels, it sort of splits the 12 clubs into 4 areas. Obviously, in the past, it's been John Moore Shield and Danielle Parker Shield, I think. And I think there might have been a couple others from memory, but I am absolutely blanking. But that was like pure rep stuff. Obviously, now with Rise, it's picking the kids that have gone through Rise and stuff like that. So I think for me, the pro is its opportunity to play with different kids, teammates, you're expanding your stuff, you're putting yourself in those challenging situations. Like, these aren't the people you've been playing with since you were 6. They're people you've played against or you've never met, you've never sort of laid eyes on. And how do you develop those skills, when you're playing at higher levels and you go into rep teams and go into comps where you don't know everyone? So I think it's working on, as a player, how do you adapt to those new situations? How do you adapt to new coaches? And stuff like that. I guess the con is it the best players? Is that the intention of it? Possibly not. So how do you pick your state squad? How do you pick your best team if it's not if your state champs aren't effectively the level under the state team, and then you pick your best players from your best.
Well, that's the thing. If you're going to run it like that, then you sort of want it to be like a state selection. But then the question is, when do you do it? Do you do it at the start of the year, but then there's no footy leading into it to pick teams unless you go off last year's form? Do you do it at the midway point through the season, the first round of school holidays when the season's on or something like that? There are a few questions for that. But for me, the cons are that it's selection based. I want it to be selection based.
Yeah.
And for me, it's the best kids playing against the best kids. And I've said it a few times, the more times we can get the best kids playing the best kids, it's going to improve their footy.
Yeah.
The con for me is it's not available for everyone and people get put off because they don't get selected in teams. But, if you want to make it to the next level, unfortunately, that's the way it is. And you can take some good lessons from that, and you've got areas that you've got to improve on, and maybe next year you can come back and you can crack into the team.
Yeah, I think a lot of that obviously comes down to it's under 15s, sort of schoolboys, national schoolboys comp. So that sort of set tends to happen that second part of June, just before the June July school holidays, wherever they are, and that's obviously a national thing. So representing that is way beyond any sort of WA state-based decisions. It's a whole of Australia competition, which is awesome, but then obviously that does limit to when you can do all this stuff. You can't do it post-season and pick your best players because it's irrelevant then.
Well, yeah, I suppose you could do it at post-season and then you pick your best players, and then from that, because I think we need to develop all these kids from the start of the year coming into the state championships, because I think, like I've said, we need to get rid of their bad habits. You need to have good players being around good players to increase their level of playing, all that sort of stuff. So I think we could do it sort of end of year, and then from that you pick a squad. Maybe they do a bit before the new year, and then they come back, and then they're in an academy sort of thing through the pre-season.
Sorry, I was going to ask. Is that so? You want to start picking your team from the end of the year? So you've had this period of watching the guys,
and then you can go watch them all year. You can watch what they do all year. In all situations.
Pick your squad.
So you're effectively picking them based on for under 15s on their under 14s.
And then so then you're picking all them kids, and then you can still do the rise. If kids want to be that are in that academy or whatever, still want to do the rise, go do the rise. But then the rise can be for everyone else.
I think the academy would almost be rise would almost be an essential part to be part of the academy because you're doing all those off-field stuff. But then rise could be open to say you're 30 kids in the academy, but also every other kid that wants to be involved. And if you're in that rise and you show that you deserve to be in that academy, you can be invited to training sessions and go along. Perfect. If you force your way into that squad by gunning it, good on you.
Now I think we're starting to really sieve out the idea of how this
solve
may
the
be
world's problems in the last 5 minutes.
No, I like it. I think it's good.
This is our world, so nothing else matters.
North of Mandurah, south of Alkimos, inland, coastal of Kalamunda, that's all the world is.
Let's give it the northwest too, the Kimberley and Karratha, everything.
Sweeney, where are you at with that? Well, that's another thing with the growth of the Pilbara competition. can we see that the Northern Reds, is that what they used to call the Northern
Yeah,
Reds? Can
yes.
they
Well,
can
that's
they be
it.
reintroduced back into the
I'd
state
love
championship?
And that's
I'd
it.
love to see
There was
I'd love to see tours.
initially there
We'll
was
see
the
tours.
idea of having multiple kids come down from the Pilbara this year. I know one kid did come down, under 13s, played for South, absolute legend of a kid, gunned it, come in the week of, like, because obviously you're not asking a kid to come down every week. Kid come down, under 13s, gelled with people he never met before, shredded it, really good, and it was that sort of stuff. Like, you know, it'd be awesome for them to have opportunities up there like that. Reality isn't the numbers for it this year. But to see it even benefit one kid that wants to play league come down and get the benefit. And that was in the under 13, so it wasn't even the carrot of playing state team. It was just a carrot of coming down and playing footy.
I love that. I love this idea of the one kid that can come down and do that.
Yeah.
But then everybody up there still has the aspiration of being able to play, being able to be selected to do that. Which I think for me, my pros on this is it's always good for local development. The junior state champs has to be good for local development because it gives an aspirational goal for any kid that's out there to play and to get a jersey. And we've spoken about this on the podcast a number of times about the what the jersey means, what it means to play for your state.
Oh, you see it when they rock up to junior training, they come in their Dolphins gear or their Pride gear and all that sort of stuff. You know,
They love
like,
it.
Yeah,
They've got to froth it, don't they?
they wear
They've
every
got to froth
session.
it.
Yeah.
The other thing I like about it is it can build camaraderie. It can build this kids that you will play, like, I can only imagine as a junior. As a junior, can only imagine how much fun you would have getting over a opposition player, and then seeing that player come into camp with you, and going, "Oh, yeah, so we're here, aren't we? We're here together.
Like, that's it.
We're going to do that."
You
aren't
love,
we?
like, you know, even playing, you know, third grades badly. I love playing against the boys I played with at other clubs and stuff like that. So why wouldn't it be the same, if not more, for under 14s, 15s? You know, play against that kid from the other side of Perth that.
Yeah.
You know,
You've only seen him once or twice in 2
or
years.
they smoked you in a training session. You want to get it back and smoke them back, kind of thing, or get that step on them, whatever. It builds a bit of fun spirit within the game.
My last thing I've got to say is I think it gives local coaches an opportunity to have a look at where some of these players are. If the local coaches get down, again, we'll talk about the coaching standards for hours if we want, but if coaches are serious about trying to build their squads, they'll be looking at it. They'll be chatting to their network. They'll be talking to the people that need to be talked to. And these are the competitions and events and areas where young kids can shine. And if they're in your team or they're in your area, that's an opportunity for them to have a look at it.
Yep.
So I think the big thing we want to talk about here is if we can get some feedback from the people out there, the ones that are listening. We've had some anecdotal stuff. We've had some people approach us and talk about their experiences within the local junior game and especially the local representative game.
Yeah.
So we can.
Yeah, it'd be great to get points from everyone else, but I think the point. Can we merge these together?
Well, that's it, and I think that's what we've been talking. We just sort of touched on, like having your academy and having your state sort of academy squad or whatever, but having Rise is part of what they do is with that. So, and then having all these kids.
I think we solved that before, didn't we?
Well, that's it.
Yeah, you
You know,
guys literally just
Sweeney,
solved
that's when
everything.
Sweeney stepped out of the room for a moment there. We solved it. But yeah, I think that's it. I think because Rise to me is so important because it is 50% on the field, 50% off the field. And reality is, some of these kids might not play seniors at any point. They might not play under 16s. But if they can gain leadership, if they can gain all this sort of stuff that sets them up to be good humans.
Well, the Rise does do a lot of off-field stuff too. It teaches them to deal with social media and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly, and that's the point. And that's the stuff that's so crucial to the development of our young teenagers because these aren't just our future NRL players, they're our future parents, our future adults, our future leaders of our society. Everything we can do to help them grow as people is on par. I mean, you'd think I'm a youth worker saying that, you know, but...
No. Work hand in hand to not only build our junior base of footballers, but build our junior base of outgoing adults and human beings.
They work headgear and head.
So with everything we've been talking about today, we have had some good feedback from the governing body. The biggest thing we've had is that the locally, the RISE program will be reviewed with the aim to make it more appealing to WA players and especially their parents. Also, another thing that we've spoke about heavily here is our understanding of the timing of the RISE Carnival, and hopefully it should be going back to a pre-season format and time slot.
Yeah, and I think that's great.
So if anybody else out there listening, which I know there's at least 4 of you, reach out to us. Please do reach out to us to our Facebook page or our social media and just give us your ideas. I mean, we do run into people daily within our dealings with rugby league that have conversations about these topics, but it's always nice to be able to engage online as well.
Yeah, tell us you agree with us, or if you disagree, you think we're talking tripe, tell us. And get the conversation going online.
So after chatting about our junior competitions and our RISE and stuff like that, we're going to move on to probably one of the biggest things we all talk about, but not on the podcast. It's about top tier competition and how do we get more clubs playing in the local Premiership competition. Morgs, I've gone to you all evening. I'm going to give you a break here. Beatrix, off the top, how do you think we go? How do you think we do this?
Well, I've got a couple of ideas around this. I think you should just make them do it.
Just a couple of ideas. Just make them do it.
On our run sheet here, the topic is top tier local rugby league in WA.
Yeah.
So if you want it to be top tier is a first grade competition.
Yeah.
So I think, realistically, there's probably only 10 teams that can facilitate a first grade team. So probably a couple that just aren't there money wise, like they wouldn't be able to float and it wouldn't be good. But other than that, I think you put your 10 teams in first grade and then you work down from there. I think that you can worry as much as you want about no junior talent coming through, but if you're not a club that's going to have a first grade team and you want to play at the highest level, then why should anyone at a lower level have aspirations to be a star if the club doesn't have that level?
Essentially club play.
Yeah. It's sort of where I'm at.
Yeah.
So just do it and everyone will come up to speed.
Look, I don't think you can argue with that opinion. Morgs, how are you feeling on this one?
I mean, I probably am going to argue it. I do like the top up approach if it's done correctly, and by that I mean if you come in third grade, you've got one season, if not 2 seasons, to strengthen your third grade, get have your juniors coming through in your 17s. You then step up to Val Murphy, having 2 teams, again another 2 years. So it means that extensively within 5 years of a club having senior men's, they're going to have first grade. By that, it makes it a sustainable model if that model is enforced. If that's the pathway, basically said in your third year having third grade, if you're not stepping up, you've got no third grade, you've got no senior club. So you have to step up, you have that guidelines, you have that enforced process, that you have a time frame. So you will add, if you can get to first grade in 3 years, if you can get there in 2 years, sweet as.
Yep.
But you've got 5 years to build that, because the reality is we've seen multiple clubs in the last 10 years leaving the first grade comp. Why? Because they're getting their asses handed to them on a plate. I say that having been one of those players in one of those clubs. Yes, plenty of stories being flogged by Beatrix at 120 to 0. There's only so long you can live with those stories. The fact is you lose players to the game, people walk away, clubs almost fold in more than one occasion. So we've seen Villagy a couple of times, I think this is Villagy's 3rd stint in first grade in 10, 11 years I've been here. They've had moderate success in the lower grades. Now, finally, they've done it the right way. They've got success in Premiership, the thing. We've seen Ellenbrook step up to first grade and then all sort of forward pieces, and now they're building back up. We've seen Kalamunda being forced to have first grade teams and lose on 100 points, 90 points on the week. Is that actually good for the game? I don't think it is. Whereas now we see Kalamunda doing maybe a year behind what Willage was doing, going up 1/3 grade, step up to Val Murphy, be a good solid team, allowing them now with their juniors coming through, and we can see their juniors coming through. We've already highlighted that in the past in local legends. So we've seen that pathway. So now it's up to Kalamunda as a club to step up, other clubs to step up because they're bringing these juniors through. They're bringing through the talent. There's Kalamunda, Alkimos, Ellenbrook. They're the next 3 clubs to step up. Kwinana nipping on their heels.
Yeah.
So this is what we want. We want these clubs stepping up, but bringing their juniors through. Bringing those 17s through into 3rd grade or into reserve grade and then coming up. And I think that makes it sustainable. Because if it's not sustainable and you're in there for 2 years and then all of a sudden there's no clubs, no teams because a club just falls apart because you're getting flogged every week and players walk away, coaches walk away, volunteers walk away, you're not growing the game. You're having a little growth spurt and then all of a sudden realising you're on steroids and it's blown up and you're done.
Yeah. Look, the official response we've gotten when we've asked this question is building from the bottom up. I understand this idea of foundational building, and in all honesty, for me, that sounds it's the most logical way of doing it. Make sure that your competition grades have enough players to be able to field the grades coming up, but also we still want our current Premiership tier to be the best that it can be. So I guess my question is why can't they be both? They don't have to be mutually exclusive. Why can't we have a building of the junior tier and promoting clubs up early to allow them to best have Premiership aspirations?
Well, it's all good and well to talk about juniors, but if you're going to go off that basis, then, well, North Beach and South Perth are going to fold in a few years.
That's it.
Because North Beach have only got a 14s team.
So South Perth, they've both only got under 14s. They don't have under 13s, under 15s, under 17s boys.
Yeah, but they're 2 of the most successful clubs.
Right now, Beach and South Perth, though.
Yeah.
Well, not just this year, but throughout the history of rugby league in WA, they're probably the 2 most successful clubs. Yet right now, they have one sort of boys age comp team each. And that's not knocking the clubs. There's obviously a whole lot of reasons, but reality is they don't have those pathways present right now that other clubs seem to have. So how are they how is that a sustainable model? I mean, it's obviously they've got 3 teams each. They're going well in seniors, but what does the future look like, I guess, for clubs like that?
Yeah, I had an idea for first grade, and I stole this from back when I was playing in Penrith, that if we have a 10-team first grade, and give me your feedback on this, boys. So if we have a 10-team first grade, right, and if you're worried about teams getting flogged every week and people getting disheartened, then everyone plays each other once through the season, and then your top 5 and your bottom 5 split into 2 different competitions. Yeah?
Yep.
And then your bottom 5 would be a more competitive competition. Your top 5 would be a better, more competitive competition. They both all play each other again, and then you have a top 4 out of that to your final series.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so you have a top bottom 4 and a top
like a top 4. Yeah.
Top bottom top. Yeah, I mean, I think that I like it because I think it is reality. Like if we said to
I think we've got to do that for a while.
And I think that's it. If we said to the 10 clubs now, like all the teams that have Val Murphy, you're playing first grade next year. I think the reality is the teams that are out first grade this year and the teams that haven't, we would see a vast chasm potentially in differences because the level of play is massive.
Yeah.
Like as it should be, a reserve grade player.
They're not.
To a first grade player, like there's the ones that are in the fridge there. Yeah. But if you're an average reserve grade player, you're going to struggle in first grade. Trust me, you've been there, done that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I was going to say, just for the record, I'm an average 3rd grade player, so I'm definitely making reserve grade.
If you run that sort of system for a few years, essentially the competition at the halfway point is going to split into your first grade and reserve grade anyway, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
we've got a 10-team first grade to start the year.
Yeah.
And at the start of the year, it's more attractive if you're going to bring people over, if you're going to recruit people from anywhere, if you've got a first grade team, instead of asking people to come play in your reserve grade squad.
Yeah, I don't mind the idea.
This is the next thing as well. I mean, Willagee have recruited. Rockingham recruit. These clubs are not... it's not just about fostering young talent, which Rockingham have done really well. We've spoke about this multiple times over the year. But the good teams know how to recruit the right people. Not just the right footballers, but the right people around them as well. They bring in the people that can be good as coaches, jobs, whatever you can do. But I mean, we're talking about the Bears are going to come in. The Bears are coming in. It's done. Our local competition needs to step up now to be able to recruit, to be able to bring the level of the competition up.
Yeah.
So we should all look... Sorry, Morgs, I know you're about to say something there, man. I think we should all be stepping up. I still think we should look to bolster our junior comp grades, but we need to show that we are all ready for what's about to come.
Yeah, I think when we talk recruitment and stuff like that, we need to look as well at how clubs are financially viable off the field and successful off the field. Obviously, some clubs have access to revenue streams that other clubs, due to lack of facilities and that, don't have. And if that's where the money's coming from to buy players and get players to your club, then that's... I won't say it's unfair because it is what it is. You know, like you can't help whether you've got a fenced ground or whether you've got a bar that you can sort of operate 5 nights a week to bring revenue in that way. If that's what you got, mate, good luck to you. But not all the clubs have that, and maybe the clubs that don't have that are by now the ones we're talking about needing to step up. So how are they funding themselves to compete with first grade clubs? Which I guess is maybe where the idea that Beatrix about sort of having your 10-team comp and then splitting in half and stuff, you know, then at least you're getting for half your season, you're playing your teams that are on your level, similar situations on the field, but also off the field.
So then, if we're talking about a money sort of thing, then people are going to be more attracted to sponsoring teams that are in first grade.
Yeah,
especially being given that we've got feedback that the live stream games are all made fair. So everyone through the year will get a fair crack on the live stream games. So sponsorships will get their business out there to their platform on YouTube or wherever else they're going to put it. So maybe that's how they gain a bit more money as well.
Yeah, and so like if you're saying sort of like the first 10 weeks of your season are your 10-team comps, everyone plays everyone, well then that's 20 teams, so you get yourself on your live stream with your sponsors in your Milan at Machu Picchu twice in the thing, so you can really do it. And if you've got then, like some of our clubs have sponsored grounds and stuff, then you get that broadcast around and you get make sure wherever it's being filmed, you get your sponsorship flags up and you get their branding throughout the screen. Like you can't help but watch the game without seeing the big, Kwinana Bendigo Bank. Yes, I'm biased. Logo down, something like that. But you get your sponsors.
Yeah, but that's what you do. So like if you're in first grade and you're getting sponsors, then you make that part of the sponsorship package that you're going to get a banner made up. You get that included in the sponsorship cost. So you got that. Yeah. So you got that nailed up with star pickets or something like that on the side of the field when you got the live stream game. So it's just I suppose if we're going to do stuff like this, we need to get a bit of outside the box thinking.
I agree. No, 100% on that. I mean, 10 teams automatically takes the broadcast, and I hate to use this term given what's going on with the NRL, but the broadcast rights are going to be bigger. Again, we've actually got a national team coming in. Local sponsors are going to want to be on board. The outside of the box thinking is not really outside the box at all. It's just, is it not the next phase of thinking to how we put money back into the clubs, attract players to come through, and start putting all of the clubs up to the top. Yeah. I'm not going to disagree with the governing body. I still think a building from the bottom is the key to longevity, but longevity isn't solving our problem of not having enough teams right now.
Maybe the answer isn't building from the top or building from the bottom. It's building from both ways and meeting in the middle.
Yes, I agree.
So because that's it. Because you can build all the senior stuff.
He's on tonight.
You can build all the senior stuff you like, but if you don't have the junior pathways coming through, if you don't know that next year I've got 15, 20 under 17s that are going to be busting their backside to be playing thirds, reserve grade, first grade, whatever their talent level is. That's it. I want my under 15s to then know the under 17s is next, and so on and so forth.
Look, I've got one more point just before we jump on. A big thing I've thought about for a long time is that you can recruit kids into footy, but the biggest thing you're going to have is the guys that play football that become parents are more likely to put their kids back through football. You want the people that become parents to stay involved, either through playing or through volunteering. Like, it's highly likely. I've got 2 kids. unless they specifically,
You had to think about
yeah, that I know of, unless they specifically say no, they're going to football.
Yeah.
They're going to football because I play footy. I love footy. Our family plays football. We love football. That is the idea of building from the top and the bottom. I'll keep playing as long as the body can. Until then, my kids will come through the grades, and I'll show them what I can. So, look, I mean, we've spoken. This is some really good topics, guys. We're going to finish up on this one right now. So, if you're out there and you want to, just please drop something in the chat or drop something in the comments to let us know your thoughts on it. We always appreciate what's going on.
You know, if you've got a master plan for rugby league and WA, feel free to send it through to us. You know, we like essays. We'll have a read and we'll do all that. You know,
we promise we won't just take it on and make it our own or anything like that.
Of course not.
No, of course not. All right, so we're going to jump on to our second favourite part, the previews for next week. I'm going to start.
No,
No.
So
we're on the run sheet. We're on local legends. We've been mixed up this week.
Oh, no, we have. Oh my goodness. Oh, my apologies. Guess who's out for HIA next week, listeners? Okay, yeah, so quickly, actually, we're going to jump onto local legends this week.
Great friend of the show.
A good friend of our show.
A favourite of the show. Big favourite of the show.
He's already been on once. We're going to get him back when we can. The great and well-known Rod Fielding, who has just been asked to brief the new formed Perth Bears board on the history of rugby league within WA. Awesome opportunity, an awesome reward for a man, a friend, a legend who puts so much care and time and effort into the local game. So we just want to say thank you, Rod. Well done. We look forward to getting you back on the show. In the meantime, mate, enjoy this. It's going to be a lot of work, so maybe not that much enjoyment, but no, good on you, mate. Thanks again.
Boys, we might not get him back on the show. He might be too big for us.
No, be too, yeah, it's...
There'll be appearance.
We'll be on this show.
Appearance fees.
Yeah, appearance fees, yeah. All right, we're going to jump on to our junior preview. I'm going to still up versus Ellenbrook at Admiral Park. Fremantle versus Rockingham at Treeby Community Sports Centre. Willagee versus Kalamunda at Weber Reserve, with Kwinana having the bye.
In the 14s, boys, we've got Joondalup taking on Ellenbrook at Admiral Park. We've got a top of the table clash, Kalamunda versus Kwinana at Hartfield Park. North Beach versus Alkimos at Blue Force Park. Fremantle versus Rockingham at Treeby Community and Sports Centre. And Serpentine versus South Perth at Weber Reserve.
And then on to the under 14s girls, we have Joondalup versus Ellenbrook at Admiral Park. Fremantle versus Kwinana at Treeby Community and Sports Centre, and Willagee have the bye.
And in the 15s, boys, we've got Joondalup versus Ellenbrook at Admiral Park. Fremantle versus Rockingham at Treeby Community and Sports Centre. Willagee versus Alkimos at Weber Reserve, and Kalamunda have the bye.
And then on to the under 17s, boys, we have Joondalup versus Ellenbrook at Admiral Park. Alkimos versus Kwinana at Hartfield Park. And Fremantle versus Rockingham at Treeby Community and Sports Centre. So, you know, get on down. It's footy weekend. Hopefully it's a nice, dry, sunny weekend. Cough, cough. I'm sure it won't
Yeah,
be.
it's going to be.
But get on down to wherever your local club is, your local team at. Go and watch your footy. Under 6s, under 17s, whatever it is. Cheer on the kids. Go get a burger, get a chip.
To junior footy.
That's it.
Okay, moving on to our senior preview. Women's League Tag. We have South Perth versus Alkimos at George Burnett Park. Ellenbrook versus Joondalup at Franklin Offshore Stadium. Mandurah versus Kwinana at Franklin Offshore Stadium. And North Beach versus Fremantle at Blue Force Park, with Willagee having the bye.
In third grade, we've got Kalamunda versus Willagee at George Burnett Park. South Perth versus Alkimos at George Burnett Park. Ellenbrook versus Mandurah at Franklin Offshore Stadium. Rockingham versus Kwinana at Franklin Offshore Stadium. And North Beach versus Fremantle at Blue Force Park.
And then moving on to Val Murphy, we have Kalamunda versus Willagee at George Burnett Park. South Perth versus Alkimos at George Burnett Park. Ellenbrook versus Joondalup at Franklin Offshore Stadium. Rockingham versus Kwinana at Franklin Offshore Stadium. And North Beach versus Fremantle at Blue Force Park.
And in the Women's Premiership, we have Ellenbrook taking on Fremantle and Willagee taking on Joondalup. Both of them games are at Charlotte's Vineyard Reserve. Pavilion, and Kalamunda have the bye.
We're having a lot of trouble pronouncing that ground. Which one is the live stream? Do we get
Willagee versus Joondalup.
Ooh, Willagee. That's an interesting
It'll
game.
be an interesting game to see if Willagee can bounce back this week after a couple of performances that aren't up to their standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think we sort of spoke about Joondalup. Maybe their season is just about done mathematically, I think, with the top 3 finals. But I think they're going to want to show something and finish off their season on the strongest note they can. But I mean, I think without seeing until we see teams, who knows? But I mean, I think Willagee have to be favourites in this game.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but though I'd like to just say it's probably Joondalup's just going to have a lot of fun. They're going to play some fun football and maybe scare them. Maybe scare the Bears just a little bit.
We'll see.
So, moving on to the men's premiership, we have South Perth versus Willagee at George Burnett. We have Rockingham versus Joondalup at Franklin Offshore Stadium. And the live stream game is North Beach versus Fremantle at Blue Force Park. Thoughts on this live stream game, boys?
That's an interesting one. Both teams will be looking to bounce back after disappointing losses last week. So, like most games, it'll be until the team sheets are out that we'll be able to see what kind of matchup it's actually going to be.
That's it. I think if both teams are close to full strength, North Beach have to go in favourites at home. But I mean, as we've seen, it only takes 1 or 2 key players out, and you can be vulnerable in the competition in the last couple of weeks. I think team sheets dropping will be definitely impacting our tips because I tip North Beach, like I said, not to lose another game. They might be 0 from 2 at the end of this week.
Is it the Empire curse or is it the Morgs curse?
It's definitely my curse. I mean, I tipped Alkmaar early in the year to have a bad year and they're not. So hey, who knows?
Again, look, coming in with the idea of team sheets, but I reckon the conversations that are going to be had is Fremantle are going to look to just control the ball, take it to North Beach, and funnily enough, I think that's going to be the same conversation is going to be had. It's going to be a wet weekend. Try to keep control of the football and allow the other team to make mistakes. So it's probably going to be the most fun game this weekend. If I've got to say, out of all of it's there, although the South Perth Willagee is going to be very interesting. Yeah,
they're all good games.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game.
If Rockingham win, they can get off the bottom of the table. They've got a lot to play for.
And the forecast is actually dry weather. So
it is. Yeah, okay,
It might be whichever team recovers from the shock of having a nice sunny day to play. That could be none of this slippery pill footy.
Yeah, how many of these teams have actually trained in dry weather for the last sort of 8 weeks?
I know we haven't trained in dry weather anytime soon, so I doubt anyone else has.
Guys, it has been great. Thank you again, Beatrix, Morgs. Always a pleasure. Boys, until next time, remember, train hard, be kind, and love rugby league.